This episode of The Greg Larson Show is brought to you by Poos and Wheeze. If you like poos and wheeze, get involved with Poos and Wheeze. If you would like to hear the episode without ads like this, then go onto my Patreon. I'm Greg Larson on Patreon. There's links to my Patreon on my Instagram page, on my X, my Twitter, whatever the fuck it is. Go onto the Patreon, support this podcast, and get it. And I mean, you get it anyway, but you get without ads. Hello, see ya.
The Greg Larson Show. The big unit is ready to go. The Greg Larson Show. Muck around on the Mazapan. A fresh custard in his hand. The greatest podcast in all the land. Greg Larson Show. Yeah. Great, just what we need, another podcast show.
Police are still searching for the man who shot and killed the CEO of United Healthcare Wednesday morning in the middle of Manhattan.
Welcome to the Greg Larson Show. This episode is called Delay, Deny, Defend. What is it? Delay? No, it's delay. Hang on. Deny, Defend, Depose is the name of the episode. But the book was Delay, Deny, Defend. But the bullets that the cool dude wrote on said Deny, Defend, Depose. So, yeah, the name of the episode is Deny, Defend, or Delay. We are back with the Greg Larson Show. We are coming back with the Greg Larson Show, roundabout, get them down, pull them up, suck them off. I think it's pretty funny that a guy shot the CEO of a big health insurance company. I think it's kind of funny. And I think it's funny for a number of reasons, obviously. There's the funniness of the fact that, a guy who was functionally a serial killer, like Brian Thompson was a serial killer. He killed a lot of Americans. He got killed. Funny. But it's also funny with the amount of hand-wringing that, conservatives, moderates, liberals, centrists, the rational centrist. I'm a rational centrist. The amount of hand-wringing that's going on with them, you shouldn't encourage violence. It's wrong. Violence is not the answer to solve your political problems. Violence is not the answer. To them, I would say, yeah, it is. Like it sometimes is. What about Hitler? We got him, That was pretty good. That was the answer. What about the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising? I think that was pretty cool. I think, the Jewish population arming themselves with guns and Molotov cocktails and killing Nazis was a cool thing to do. Good on them. I think that violence was the answer. I think it's crazy to me that we live in a world in which anyone would say violence isn't the answer. What I'm saying is what world do we live in? What world do we live in where big societal problems get solved with someone going, you know what? I think we all just need to get along. I've got what world do we live in where someone makes a speech and then people go, you know what? Wow, that's changed my mind. I've listened to your opinion. Nobody's listening to any opinions. Nobody's considering things and thinking about things. The world is, who's got the biggest gun? That's the world we live in. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying that is the fact of the world. Every country, every single country that exists on this earth exists because at some point someone got a gun or a sword or a big spear or a rock and went, fuck you, I'm making a country now. And if you don't like it, I'm going to bash you or kill you or set you on fire. That's all the countries. You know, certainly all the Western countries. I mean, Australia started because some guys came on a boat and there was an Indigenous population, and then they went, hey, we're going to start a country now. And the Indigenous population went, hang on. And then the guys on the boat went, pow, 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 and killed them. That's the same with America and South America. And all of them, all of the countries, like all of the countries. It's like every country all around the world. It's started because someone killed a bunch of people and went, this is my country now. This is the way. Now I'm the king. Now I'm the emperor. Now I'm the democratically elected government. Whatever, right? And saying, you know, someone in power, someone, you know, in the rational center. Someone who, you know, is a considered moderate saying that violence is not the answer is like when my friend Ryan used to run up to me in primary school and then punch me in the arm and then go, no givesies, backsies, truce. So fuck off. You can't just do that. You can't just go, oh yeah, like we'll make a country based on violence. And no, that's it. No, done. No, done. We're done with the violence. No, stop it. No more. Like it's crazy, right? It's crazy that we tell people violence is not the answer and you shouldn't resort to violence. You shouldn't celebrate violence. You shouldn't celebrate, you know, this Brian Thompson piece of shit getting, you know, capped. That's a cool way of saying it. Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Health, was capped today in New York City. R.I.P. But you know, like it's crazy that we would say, oh, you know, violence is never the answer. But we also have a day, and all countries have this. In Australia, we call it Anzac Day. We have a day where we celebrate and venerate and worship as gods the people who picked up a gun and shot someone else in the face. And we say, good on you. You literally built this country. You saved this country. You made this country. You died for us. You killed for us. You are a hero. You are a god. If violence is not the answer, then stop building fucking statues of people holding guns. Stop building statues of soldiers and generals and shit like that. If violence is not the answer, then, you know, build statues of Gandhi, who also, I think he was a molester. I don't know if Gandhi was a molester. And there's always something about everybody, right? But like, I can understand if you're a pacifist, that being a pacifist, and when I say a pacifist, I mean like a capital P pacifist, someone who will not use violence in any circumstance whatsoever, including in self-defense. That is an ideology. It's not an ideology I necessarily ascribe to, but it is an ideology I respect, and I think it's morally consistent for someone to say, I'm a pacifist. I will not continue the cycle of violence. No matter what happens to me, I will never, ever, ever commit an act of violence. No matter what happens to me or my family or anyone, I will die, but I will not kill ever. Right? I will allow myself to be hit, but I will never hit back, ever. That is at least a morally consistent position. But for someone to say violence is not the answer, what you really mean is don't kill the people I like, but bash the people I don't. And it's the people who say violence is never the answer are usually the people who own a state monopoly on violence. They're the people who own all the guns. They're the people who own, you know, the military. You know, like, for a politician to say violence is not the answer and also let's have a military is a fucking idiot. You're a fucking dumb cunt. If you then defund the military. You know, if you think violence is not the answer, then get rid of the military, get rid of the cops. But if you own the cops and the military and the guns, then violence is the answer. That is the answer. The state exists because of violence and the threat of violence. That is the entire power of the state is in the guns and the bombs and the ability for the state to legally perpetrate violence. So, you know, violence is not the answer. Well, yeah, it's not the answer to fuck you.
Die!
died on 9/11.
Oh, that you're trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
You are out of order.
I would like to ask him a question, please.
You are out of
I would like before the CEO boy got shot by the cool boy. I wanted to do this episode about scams. I wanted to call the episode "That's How They Get Ya," and do it about legal scams, right? Because there's a million legal scams going around in our world, and health insurance is one of them. Health insurance, in my opinion, and also in the opinion of fact, is a scam. It's a scam. I'll get back to that in a minute. But there's so many scams in our society that are just happen. Just like we just accept as you know, that's just how the world works. Banks love to scam you. A bank in and of itself, a bank is an institution that borrows your money. Right? Banks borrow money from you. That is what they do. That is literally what they do. That is what they do. They borrow money from you. They say to you, "Hey, can you lend me $50? Can you lend me $100? You know, and then they invest it, they spend it on things, whatever. But but there's a promise, right? There's a promise and an agreement that when you want the money, you'll get it back on demand. So, you know, they have enough money and enough whatever, you know, enough capital, enough gold bullions in a safe that they can borrow money from everyone, invest all that money, spend all that money, you know, do stuff with that money. And as long as everyone doesn't want all their money all at once, they'll be okay, right? But functionally, that is what a bank does. They borrow money from you so you don't have to keep it in your couch or under your mattress, right? So and if they get robbed, that's on them, right? You know, you still get you're still owed the money. And look, we can go like, obviously I'm not a fucking capitalist, and you know, I like a bit of communism every now and again, like a little bit of a communism. But the principle of it, you know, I don't know that you know, I'm not a smart enough person to know that in principle, you know, this is a good or a bad thing. But the idea that a place exists where you can deposit money and have it kept and whatever, like, you know, that's a thing. But banks have existed for so long that somewhere along the way they tricked us into thinking that they were doing us a favor. Oh, we're looking after your money. We imagine that we give them the money and then they just put it in a safe and they lock it up. And then they're like, we got to charge you a fee to lock up the money, right? And we're like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, like, because you're keeping my money safe. We think that that's what they do, right? We just assume, oh, you're keeping my money safe, therefore, you know, you want to charge a little fee. Like, that seems fair. It does seem fair. If I gave someone, you know, my marijuana grinder that has a picture of a woman lying on a beach with exposed breasts. And I didn't notice that was on the grinder until I bought it. But if I was like, oh, I want someone to care for my marijuana grinder with a woman on the beach with exposed breasts, you know, and I said to someone, I'm worried that someone will steal my marijuana grinder with a woman on the beach with exposed breasts. Could you look after it for me? And that person said, oh, now I got to. What? Keep it in my pocket. There's marijuana grinder with a woman with exposed breasts. And then I'm like, I'll give you $1 if you look after it for me for a week. And they're like, okay, that's a fair trade. But banks aren't just looking after your money; they're borrowing your money, right? And it's somewhere along the way they've tricked us. Imagine if I came up to you and said, "Hey, can I borrow $50?" And you went, "Yeah, okay." And then I said, "I'm gonna have to charge you a $1.50 fee to borrow that $50." You'd spit in my mouth. You'd force my mouth open, and then you'd spit in it, and you'd go, and you'd call me a fuckhead. I've got a sound for that.
I am a fuckhead.
We believe that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center in New York.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
So banks are a classic one for scamming you out of money by having fees, right? By charging you to charge you. You know, like when you go to a point of sale and you use your card and then you get charged a 1 point whatever % fee, you're being charged to pay. Like you're being, and that is one of the biggest scams, one of the biggest legal scams that's happening in our society right now. It is the paying a fee to pay a fee. It happens constantly. It's rampant. It's insane how many, and it happens because you get leeches, right? You get leeches of society that, I talked to in another episode about real estate agents and landlords and all that, and the leeches of society, the middlemen, and we are seeing an explosion of middlemen who come into our society and see money is changing hands and think, how can I get a percentage of it? How can I trick people into giving me a percentage of that money for nothing, for literally nothing? Right? Banks have figured it out. They figured it out with fees. They were like, let's borrow people's money and fucking charge them a fee to borrow their money. It's and everyone just went, yeah, all right. You know, ticketing companies, they figured it out. They were like, oh, let's just charge people. Like they were one of the first, right? They, you know, because I could sell tickets to a show and I could just do it myself. I could stand at the door and go, here's, come into my show, like pay me some money. But ticketing companies came in and they said, all right, well, let's be a separate service that charges people, you know, for the tickets, and we'll get like a booking fee off the top of that, but then we'll charge the person whose concert it is or comedy show it is a booking fee as well. So we're charging a booking fee to the artist and to the punter. And then they're like, oh, what if we charge? And they go crazy, right? They're like, what if we charged a fee to print it? Yeah, that's cool. And what if we also charged a fee to email it? Yeah. Or what if we charged a fee per ticket to email or print? Or we charge an extra fee if they don't print or email. Like it's pay to pay, right? This scam exists everywhere. The middlemen, they suck onto your. I was going to say your dick, but that would be a pleasurable time for your dick or your pussy or your genitals, right? But they're sucking on your urethra, which is not as pleasurable. That's a yuck time. But I don't know what that means, but I think I've got a sound for that. A perfect example of a legal scam with the middleman is extended warranties. Now, I can tell you this because I worked in a company called Wow Sight and Sound, which was a dodgy company that no longer exists. They were like JB Hi-Fi, but like Queensland only, and it was really, it was a real bad time. But I worked at this place called Wow Sight and Sound. Electronics, stereos, iPads, televisions, Mega Man video games, men would wander they would wander the Wow Sight and Sound looking at plasma TVs for their man caves because they didn't want to go home to their families. And the biggest scam was extended warranties. Extended warranties is a legal scam, right? You never, ever, ever get an extended warranty. This is how it works. A company, whatever they're called, like fucking big boy warranties, they see, oh man, people are buying televisions. How can we get a piece of this action? How can we get some of this money for nothing? How can we do nothing and get a percentage of people's money when they buy a TV? And they thought of the biggest scam in history, extended warranties, right? And it's a legal scam. Extended warranty is basically this. You pay, depends on the company, depends on the thing, at the time, I think it was like $150, right? You pay $150, you as in the consumer, to have an extended warranty on your television. So you buy a new TV, it comes with a manufacturer's 12-month warranty, but you can pay $150 to get an extended warranty, the special boy warranty. You're now covered for 5 years. But here's where the scam comes in, right? First of all, you're already covered. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there's a thing called an implied warranty, which means that like if you buy something, a manufacturer can't just go, oh, you're only covered for 12 months. You've spent $5,000 on this new state-of-the-art TV, or you're only covered for 12 months. No, if your TV breaks at 12 months in one day, you know, it's reasonable that you can still get a replacement or a repair. You know, it's reasonable for a few years. I don't know, it'll depend, but you can go to the, whatchamacallit, ACCC or the Ombudsman or whatever, the place that poor people have to go, you know, when a company does a crime instead of the cops, because obviously the cops don't care about you or the crimes that are committed against you. But, you know, if your TV that you spent $5,000 on breaks down after 2 years, it's still covered by Australian law. So the extended warranty is kind of a waste of money in that sense. They know that you don't know that. They think that you think that when your TV breaks, if it's out of warranty, if it's a day out of warranty, there's no coverage whatsoever. You are not entitled to any kind of repair or replacement. That is not true. So the extended warranty is a lie. The other way the extended warranty is a lie is the same. They do the same thing that health insurance companies do, or any insurance companies do. They simply deny your claim. It's like, if you get an extended warranty, look at what it covers. It covers fucking jack shit. Your warranty covers nothing. Like it never covers like manufacturer's faults. So if there's a fault in the manufacturing itself, it's not going to cover that. It never covers like anything to do with batteries. If there's ever a battery issue in any device you have, the extended warranty is not going to cover it. It, like, depending on the thing. I mean, it's been quite some time since I was at Wow Sight and Sound, but I remember in the time, I think it was like they wouldn't cover the electronics of a television, but they would cover the screen itself. So like if the actual like power button stops working, they don't cover that. You know, if you know, anything, and also they wouldn't cover the screen if it was like it had to be a certain amount of pixels that would be fucked up or whatever. Essentially, if you actually read the fine print, you're not covered. Like, you're just not covered. The extended warranty is nothing. It's a company that has a legal scam where they have just figured out a way to get something for nothing. And the way they make a profit, I mean, obviously, is because they're selling you nothing. Like, it's easy to make a profit when you're selling nothing. When you're just going, here's $100, like, give me $150, you get nothing. But what they do, and the reason why they're so popular, is because they paid straight commissions per warranty, right? So for example, when I worked at Wow Sight and Sound, I would get a commission on sales if I sold a certain amount at a certain profit margin. There's KPIs, there's all kinds of things, right? They do tricky maths to try and figure out ways to reduce your commission or not give you a commission, because the bosses are all cunts. The bosses at Wow Sight and Sound were particularly cunts, but there's no point exposing them because they're dead. But actually, I don't know if they're all dead. I think two of them. There were two of them. I don't know if they're both dead, but I heard one of them dead. What was I talking about again? Yeah, that's the fucking. What was I talking about? Is the catchphrase of this show? I reckon. Actually, if I ever get merch, I'll put that on the thing, and I'll sell you an extended warranty on the merch. It'll be a shirt that says, "What was I talking about again?" And it costs $150 because you got to pay for a warranty. Yeah. So, what was I talking about? Extended warranties. They're bad. They're a scam. Yeah. So, yeah, commissions. So when you get a commission, when you work at one of these places, at least this is what it was when I was there. I would get commission based on the volume I sold and hitting the KPIs. But an extended warranty was a commission that was given to me direct by this external company. The company had a deal with Wow Sight and Sound, where the company's like, we'll, pay your staff. And it was, for me, it was $10. It was a flat commission. It was just a flat $10. So every extended warranty I sold, just $10, right? So you're just selling extended warranties. People would go crazy for selling extended warranties. They'd sell $150 extended warranty on a $50 DVD player. And like, it was insane. It was a scam. It was a legal scam because you're not covered with the extended warranty. The same as with health insurance, right? Health insurance is a legal fucking scam. I'm going to play another sound. I'm going to get new sounds. I promise I'll get new sounds.
Time to eat.
Health insurance is a legal scam. I mean, the entire American system is set up as a legal scam. Like, America is fucked. It is a mental illness to be American. It is insane. Well, I say that, but obviously there are some cool ones like old mate, the cool boy assassin. That was a cool dude. I'm not sitting here saying, hey, you should go and kill CEOs. I'm not encouraging violence. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just saying I saw a picture of a cool dude on TV and I thought he was cool. I thought he was a fucking cool dude. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna say? You know, you see a cool dude, you're like, hey, that's a cool dude. Some of them are cool dudes, but they live in this system where health like their own healthcare is a scam. And, you know, we in Australia have that system as well. Like we have a dual system, a mixed system, right? Which is, it's crazy that this scam exists. I have had private health insurance a couple of times. I do not have it now. I once had private health insurance as extras cover, right? Because I wear glasses. I had extras cover because someone convinced me, oh, it's actually worth it for glasses. If you have glasses, because people who have glasses will know, you often have to get new glasses for various reasons. I mean, my eyesight gets worse every year. I have very, very bad eyesight. So you constantly have to get your prescription updated. I now have to wear 2 sets of different glasses because my eyesight is so bad. One lens doesn't do it. I need reading glasses and regular glasses. And also things happen, like you're wearing the glasses every single day. They break, the lenses get scratched, they get all like foggy and shit and dirty, and it's hard to keep them clean, and you got taping them together and whatever. It's like they say you should get new glasses every year. I don't. I can't afford it, but you know, I got private health insurance, extras cover, because I thought, because someone convinced me, right? They're like, but you can get new glasses every year with private health insurance. Can, because it covers a new pair of glasses every year. And I went, oh, what a great deal. Oh, what a great deal. A free pair of glasses every year. But it's not a free pair of glasses because you got to pay for it, because you're paying for the private health insurance. You're paying for the private health insurance and you're paying the premiums every month, but then you also got to pay excess and you got to pay gaps because they'll never cover up to and they'll also only cover at certain places. So you don't have like full freedom of choice to go to anywhere. And then, you know, they won't cover certain kinds of glasses or, you know, whatever. And like, you know, for me, for example, if I got, again, this is just technical glasses chat. Welcome back to glasses chat. Today we're talking about glasses and the ways they make them. A lot of glasses will have, you know, if you're standard lenses, obviously they're going to be thick. You know, but there is a process called thinning where you can thin a glasses lens and make that a lot thinner than the normal. My glasses, for example, if they were as thick, I'm going to stop this sound. If my glasses were as thick as they were supposed to be, they would literally be like Coke bottle lenses, right? Like, you know, 2 centimeters thick or whatever. But then you can get these special thin lenses to actually make it practical so they can fit in a glasses frame. That's not covered by the extras cover, you know, and that costs a lot of money. So essentially, you pay all year long these premiums, then you get the glasses, and then you pay an excess, and then you pay, you know, the gap between what the insurance will cover. And also you couldn't get the ones you wanted because you had to go to, you know, the 3 different glasses shops that actually, you know, have the deal with that insurance company. And at the end of the day, having the private insurance made it so that my glasses were, you know, 2 to 3 times more expensive. That's what it did. That's what the insurance did. It was a scam to make me think that my glasses were cheaper when they were actually way more expensive. I mean, yeah, it meant that I only had to pay $150 on the day or whatever instead of, you know, $600 because glasses are expensive. But over the course of a year, I spent way more than $600 on the extras cover, so it wasn't worth it. And one time I got like we have a thing in Australia called the Medicare levy, right? Now, overseas listeners, all you really need to know is at tax time, if you're over a certain age and you don't have any kind of private health insurance, you have to pay extra tax. You know, it'll be, you know, 1,000, 2,000. I think it changes based on the age you have. And I don't know it. I don't understand it. That's why I'm always a year late with my taxes. I don't understand numbers and tax. But trust me, I do know about health insurance, man. Like, do listen to my, like, yeah, I don't know about tax and stuff, but do listen to my opinions on health insurance because I do know what I'm talking about in that area.
Here we go.
So basically you have to pay extra tax if you don't have private health insurance once you get to the age of 30 in Australia. And I decided quite a few years ago that I was going to get private health insurance. I was like, obviously so I don't have to pay this Medicare levy and all the rest of it. I got the private health insurance and I had it for about 2 months. Or like I forget how long I had it, but it was not very long because it was just long enough that I was still within the cooling off period where you can get it all refunded. And I had this private health insurance and then I did some sums and I went, I'd pay way more per year than I would by paying the extra tax. Like the private health insurance costs more than the Medicare levy costs. And then I also was looking at the private health insurance. I'm going, what does this cover? Right? Because I didn't have like the absolute platinum tier, whatever private health insurance, because that was like way too expensive. That's like, billionaire kind of insurance, and it said like, it covers heart attacks. It covers, surgeries and all this rest of it. And I called them up. I literally called them up and I'm like, I don't understand what it covers because I said like a heart attack, for example. I'm like a heart attack. They said you're covered in the case of heart attack. And I said, yeah, but I mean, I live in Australia. If I have a heart attack, they're going to treat me. Like that's how the hospital works. We have free healthcare. I've been to the hospital in emergency situations and they treat me and I pay $0. And in fact, when you go to the hospital, they're not treating people based on order of their arrival or how much, health insurance they have. They treat people based on urgency. And this is maybe a little tip for you. I once went into a hospital in Sydney, a crowded hospital in a busy time. And I had internal bleeding at the time. I was throwing up blood. I thought I was throwing up brown, right? I was throwing up all this brown, which looked like coffee grounds. And I went to the doctor and I was like, I'm throwing up all this brown. Like I'm sick and I'm throwing up brown. And she goes, did you eat anything brown last night? And I said, I ate 2 boxes of Oreos. And she said, that's pretty brown. She said, that's pretty brown. She said, that's pretty brown. She said, that's pretty brown.
Suck my dick.
But yeah, it turns out that it was internal bleeding because if you throw up and it looks like coffee, it's internal bleeding. And when I went to the hospital, because the doctor said, you've got to get to the hospital like now. Like you actually got to like run, get in there quick. When I went in there and I told him what was happening, I got there was heaps of people in the waiting room and I got seen straight away. This was silver service. This was gold class. This was business class, baby. This was like, ooh, I've got internal bleeding. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to the front of the line. Only 2 times I've been to the front of the line was one that time with internal bleeding. Another time when I got hit in the nuts and my testicle had swelled up to 3 times as big. I'm talking 3 times as big, baby. I had a big testicle and it was 3 times bigger.
It made me feel like I was gonna die. It hurt.
Big testicle, had a big 3 times bigger testicle. I wish that I wasn't alone, not literally, but in my mind. I feel alone and I always feel trapped. It's like I'm living in a prison of my mind. I don't know what the point of life is. Where am I going? Who am I? So I
have gone to the hospital a number of times to be seen for emergencies, and it was always just free. So I'm like, what does this health insurance cover? And they were like, it covers, you go to a private hospital. Maybe you get a little private bed, maybe. And here's the reality of private health insurance in Australia. And I mean, I guess it's the same in America, but they don't even have a public system to fall back on. But private health insurance is a legal scam because you pay more for worse healthcare. That's what happens. Again, another time, so I went to a hospital one time when I had an infection inside my ankle. And an infection inside the ankle, they're like, oh, what about sepsis? What about all this? This is dangerous, right? So they did a surgery straight through, right? Again, like this wasn't silver service because I had to wait for ages before they did the surgery. But like surgery as in like that day, I waited like 10 hours or whatever, but it was still like, I got the surgery. And then I had to stay in hospital for a week on an antibiotic drip and all this kind of stuff, right? And there was a guy next to me, literally in the bed next to me, that had private health insurance, but they didn't have any private rooms for him because they were at capacity, right? So he had to go into a regular room with me. And the thing that his private health insurance got him was an old sort of TV on a big metal arm that had access to free-to-air television. So he could watch free-to-air television in his hospital bed. And I had, like, a friend of mine gave me an iPad. So I was watching The Sopranos on Netflix for the 6th time. That was my 6th Sopranos watch. And he was watching the edited for TV version of the Star Wars prequels on Channel 7 with ads. And that was his private health insurance. That was what it did. It doesn't help you. It just means that you have to pay more. You have to pay more. Like he had to pay in excess when he went to the hospital. I didn't. Like by not having private health insurance, I don't have to pay in excess when I go to the hospital. If you go to the hospital with private health insurance, you won't get the tests that are needed to help you. You will get the tests that your health insurance provider is willing to spend the money on. You will get worse healthcare if you have private health insurance. And now people will say, oh, hang on a second, Greg. What about elective surgeries? What about things like gallbladder? What about things like bad knees? What about things like you've got a big shit inside your pooper and you got to get it out, but they say the shit isn't important enough. You can live with it. You can live with this big shit in your pooper, but it's better to have it out, but it's still elective. And you're like, I don't want to live in this world where I've got a big shit in my pooper. I don't want to be walking around with this shit in my pooper.
What's going on with this shit in my pooper? You gotta get it out. You gotta get this shit out of my pooper.
Well, here's the thing, right? I had my gallbladder removed for a gallstone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Suck a polar bear's funky ass.
I had my gallbladder removed. When I was diagnosed with a gallstone, with a big old gallstone, my GP at the time actually just assumed I had private health insurance. And there was this kind of fuck up where I went to a doctor and he was about to like organize the surgery. And he's like, what, we need your insurance details. And I said, I don't have insurance. And then he went, oh, sorry, this is all a private situation. This is a private situation. You can't get the surgery with me. And I went, okay, fine. And I didn't, right? And what would have happened, right, is if I had private health insurance, I would have gotten, I would have had to pay in excess, and then I would have gotten, the gallbladder surgery in December of 2018. That's what would have happened. But it might not have happened because the insurance might have denied it because, the gallstone they said was probably there for quite some time. It was long term. And the insurance company might have gone, that was a pre-existing condition. Sorry, no coverage. So that is very likely to have happened. But with the public health system, I had to wait 10 months. I waited 10 months and then I got the surgery at the Royal Melbourne Hospital. It was a great surgery. It went smooth as a button, cute as a button. It was a cute little surgery. Oh, it was a cutie. They said, oh, we've got a cutie on the table. And then all the doctors came in and they were like, oh, and then they all jumped around and did a little fairy dance. And I got my gallbladder removed. And it was, I had to wait 10 months. But also I wouldn't have had to wait 10 months if they had rated my gallstone as more serious than what it was. They basically said, you got a gallstone, take care of it. Don't eat certain foods. and we'll get to you as soon as we can get to you. If the gallstone was causing me even more pain than what it was causing, if I was getting daily, because I would have attacks every now and again, but if I was having like daily constant pain or other symptoms or whatever, they would have rushed me through. But because it was 10 months. And I got the surgery. They gave me endone. I got to live on a beautiful endone cloud. Shout out to Big Pharma. The only companies that aren't doing anything wrong in our society, the only big boys that aren't doing anything wrong are the opioid manufacturers. I think they're just doing such a great job. That I don't know if you've seen that show. What was it called? The Big Sick. What was it called? The Sick Boys. Michael Keaton. Not the Big Sick. It was Sick. It's all propaganda. No, those big farmers, they're all right. The opioids. People say they're ruining the lives. I think they're making them dreamy. But I had the surgery, right? And like, if I had private health insurance, probably would have been denied. Probably wouldn't have. I would have definitely had to spend way more money. And at the end of the day, when I canceled my private health insurance, like I said to him, I was having this conversation with this person going, sorry, I'm just not sure what it covers. Like, what is the benefit to private health insurance above just Medicare? And at the end of the day, he said, well, you're not paying the Medicare levy. Do you want to be paying, $2,000 or whatever it was in taxes to the government? And I went, well, I'm paying you like more than that per year. So yeah. I mean, yeah. Do I want to pay less money? Yes, I want to pay less money. But also, do I want to pay money to a public system that helps me and that I have benefited from and that will benefit millions? Yes. Or do I want to pay money to a private health insurance company whose CEO, frankly, should be shot? No. Private health insurance is a scam. And insurance in general is a scam. It's a scam. It's gambling. It's the casino, right? Insurance is the casino. And if you want to, insure things that, if you want to gamble on like home and contents insurance or whatever, stuff like that, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but, I don't really feel too bad, but like, we got to get this scam out of health. Like this scam can't exist, right? Because it's gambling. The house always wins in a casino, right? Because of course it does. How could a casino possibly exist as a business if it paid more money than it received? It couldn't. It has to win all the time. It has to be rigged in their favor. Same with insurance companies. They can't exist if they pay more money than they receive. They have to receive more money than they pay. They do the math. They know. If you have health insurance, you will pay them more money than you get back. You will lose money by having health insurance. It couldn't work another way. There's no other way it could work. It's a more expensive way to have healthcare in Australia. They know that you will pay them more money because they would run out of business. They would go bankrupt. If they paid you more money, they would go bankrupt. It doesn't make sense, right? They know that it's going to cost you more than it will cost them. It's a scam. It's a fucking rort. And what they do is like the Medicare levy, right? Like the Medicare levy exists because people in the Liberal Party and the Labor Party, they take bribes from big companies. We all know that's what's happening. We pretend it's not and we act like it's not, but we know that that's what's happening. What happens is they take bribes and things happen, right? That's why politicians become CEOs or consultants. That's why, when lockout laws happen in Sydney and Brisbane, the casinos are exempt for some crazy reason. I wonder why. It's because of, bribery. That's why, certain businesses get government contracts and then we see politicians working at those businesses when they retire or when companies give the political party donations, which is a bribe. And then suddenly things work out. The Medicare levy exists because the insurance companies bribed the Liberal Party and said, let's make a Medicare levy, right? Let's make people pay extra tax if they don't have private health insurance. Because someone is being bribed from, the health insurance companies. And they are trying to destroy universal healthcare. The Liberal Party are trying to destroy universal healthcare. The Labor Party don't particularly care for it, but they'll They'll have a mixed system, but the Liberal Party, make no mistake, they want to force us to get suppressed weapons with subsonic ammunition and shoot the CEOs in the streets of New York City. Like, they want that future. That's what they're trying to achieve. It's all a scam. We're surrounded by middlemen. It's like I was saying in an earlier episode. We're surrounded by middlemen who are trying to find ways to get money out of stuff, right? We are just scammed at every level, whether it's the banks charging us fees, or the ticketing companies charging us extra money to buy a ticket. You know, like, we are seeing this explosion right now in essentially companies that are barely even trying to hide the scam. Right? You know, I mean, I could go into crypto and all that. That's not really companies. That's just people that are just creating, you know, small pyramid schemes and pump and dump schemes. Like, crypto is a scam. Crypto is just a fucking pyramid scheme. It's just like something that you pay money in. It has no value. It has no, real world practical application. Crypto isn't anything other than just, give me some money. Hopefully it'll go up. Probably it won't. And you'll be left holding the bag with nothing. Right. But like, there's so many companies now that are basically, you know, the real world version of crypto, you know, like when you go into a restaurant, I'm going in, I'm getting a little plate of dumplings, right? I go into a Chinese restaurant, I want a little plate of dumplings. I want a little pork and chive dumplings. And hey, how's it going? And it used to be that I would sit down in the restaurant and I would say, hey, can I have a plate of little dumplings? And the person would go, yep. And that's the transaction over. That's as easy as it gets. You couldn't get easier than that. And a company has looked at that, right? And a lot of companies have looked at that and they've gone, how can I get some fucking money out of that transaction by doing nothing? How can I do nothing and get a portion of the fucking $12 that Greg has spent on that plate of dumplings? You know, $12, that's a good price for dumplings these days. They're going up. But how can I get a portion of that? How can I get a portion of that money? And that's when they came up with this system of QR codes on the table, right? That's an external company, a company that's come in and they charge the business, 1.6% of all your revenue that goes through the QR code we get. But they also charge an extra fee to me, the consumer. Like when I sit down and it says like at the end, like, oh, you'll be charged 1.6% or whatever the fuck the fee is, for ordering at the QR code. And then you got to sit there at the table with a worse system, scanning your phone and going, okay, it's not connecting to the Wi-Fi. And then like, cause there's Chinese restaurants in like an underground thing and there's no fucking reception here. And they're like, oh, we've got our own Wi-Fi and you got to get on it. And it's like, it's not working. The Wi-Fi is not working. I don't know what to tell you. Why can't I just tell you that I want dumplings? Why can't I just say that? Like you're just standing there, like, can I, like, you've come over to the table and you're telling me what the Wi-Fi is. I could have just told you 12 pork and chive dumplings, done. Like it could be done by now, but we're looking like a fucking idiot and you're getting ripped off and I'm getting ripped off. We're both getting fucking ripped off here. Like two people are getting ripped off while you're explaining how it fucking works.
You're the fucking funniest. I reckon that's pretty fucking funny. I swear, dude. You're so fucking funny. Sometimes when you say shit, I laugh and laugh. Fuck, you're a funny cunt. You're a fucking funny cunt, mate. Uber's another one. That's a scam. Uber's a scam. Uber Eats, I will not use any online, any ordering, any Uber Eatses. I will not use any Ubers, any DDs, none of them. And it's not just because I'm banned from Uber and Uber Eats for pulling scams myself. It's not just because I'm banned from Uber and Uber Eats because I kept saying that my McDonald's didn't arrive when it did arrive, and then I ended up getting like free McDonald's, and then I just did the scam one too many times like Icarus and I flew too close to the sun, and now I'm banned from Uber and Uber Eats because Uber and Uber Eats are linked somehow. But they're a scam. They're like, Uber is an employer that has figured out a way to scam workers into thinking that they are small businesses, right? Does that make sense? Yes, it does. It does make sense. Here's how it works, right? Uber
employs people. You're an employee if you work for Uber. You have to meet a certain minimum standard for your car and all this kind of stuff. You have to like fill in, you have to do like a training thing and fill in all this paperwork and all the rest of it. And yeah, you can wear what you want. You can choose your own hours, but I could wear what I want and choose my own hours when I worked at this porno company, but I was still an employee of the porno company. Wearing what you want and choosing your own hours doesn't make you self-employed. You are beholden to Uber. You use their system, and not just their system. You can't negotiate on the amount of pay that you receive. You can't say, I'll take this job for $20 or I'll take this job for 50. Uber tells you how much you will get paid and what percentage and whatever. So Uber is your employer. Yet they've found a legal loophole that isn't really a loophole. It's just kind of, it's what's called a sham contract. They are basically figured out how to underpay workers and not pay them, salary, not pay them holidays, not pay them anything, right? And they exploit, let's face it, they exploit poor people, they exploit ignorant people, they exploit people who are new to the country who might not understand that this kind of practice should illegal or should be illegal. Whether or not it's legal is a grey area, but it definitely shouldn't be legal. And they exploit people, and they say, "Oh, you're your own boss," but you can't earn a living wage on Uber. It's just not possible, right? Because you have to wear all the costs of running your vehicle, but then you can't say how much you charge. What Uber does, like what they've figured out, is the same thing that a lot of companies have figured out. They've figured out we just create a service, we just create a piece of software, but if we can get a percentage of people's earnings, then we can just make money for nothing. If you were an artist, right? If you were a graphic artist, right, and you use Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator or one of them, imagine if you essentially had to charge for your illustrations exactly what Adobe said you had to charge, and Adobe gets like a portion of it and whatever. Like, you essentially then you would work for Adobe, and that's what Uber does. Like, they have an app that you essentially work for them. Just because they have an app doesn't. What it should be is you just pay $500 and you get the Uber app, and then you can set your own prices. Then you can do whatever you want. And you've just paid money for the app itself, right? And then you would be your own boss. Or what they should do, and what it should be legally required to do, is that they change their model so that you are just an employee. You work for Uber and you get paid an hourly wage. Every time you're on the clock, you're getting paid. When you're not on the clock, you don't get paid, I guess. I don't know. Like, you do, you have holidays, you have sick leave, all the rest of it. But they scam you into thinking that they're creative. They're disrupting and I didn't come up with this quote. Someone else came up with this quote, and I can't remember who the fuck came up with it. But any business that says they're a disruptor is just a company that is doing what's always been done, but they got an app, right? It's just they got an app, and they're finding new ways to exploit the worker. It's all bullshit. You're getting scammed at every point. I don't think I've even gone into like rental payments. I've got all these things written on cards here. Like, but you have to pay. Like when you sign onto a rental, they go like, oh, you got to sign up to like OnePay, the new rental payment system. That's just some company that just gets a fee for you paying your rent. You have to pay $10 a week to pay your rent. Like, it's bullshit. And I literally say to every rental provider, I'm just like, nah. I'm not going to. Like, I'm going to give you a bank transfer, like, or nothing. Like, and I'll wait until after the lease is signed and everything. That's the other thing. You got to lie to real estate agents. You have to, again, I keep saying this, but I'll say it a million times. Lie to them. Just lie to them about everything. Like, make up salaries, make up fake references, lie through your teeth, because they lie through their teeth. So you should too. I don't know. Did any of that make sense? Is that a good one? Is that a good little episode? They're fucking scamming you. There's scams at every corner. You got to watch out for them. They're fucking getting you. All right. And sometimes you have no legal recourse. Sometimes you got to get some subsonic ammunition and a little suppressor and a little backpack and a little hoodie and a little mask.
Hello. This is Greg. This has always been Greg, but from your perspective, this just sounds like it's just Greg is talking, and now you can hear men singing in the background. But in reality, it's 2 days later, and there's construction going on, and the construction workers are having a little bit of a fun time in the house next to in the construction site next to mine. But I wanted to jump in because I'm not telling you to go out and do a violence. I'm not. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do a violence. You shouldn't be listening to this big fat man for anything. But more specifically, I'm saying, like, I don't feel sorry for this Brian Thompson cunt. I don't care. I don't care that he got killed. And I'm not saying that you should do violence. I'm saying if you have private health insurance, if you have that as a system, right? If you have a legal scam as a system that, signs people up to receive medical care and then just simply finds ways to not pay it. And again, because it doesn't matter whether or not, they cover this or that. They won't cover it because they'll just fight. They'll be like, you're actually technically not covered if you have a cancer on a Tuesday. So it actually does, you're not covered. Like, if you have that system, people are going to go psycho. At some point, they're going to go psycho, and you're going to break them. You're going to break them. And the American people have been broken with their stupid fucking healthcare system. And that's what the Liberals are trying to do in Australia. They're trying to create that system. So don't go out and shoot someone, but don't be surprised if someone goes out and shoots someone when you fucking scam them at every turn. Fuck you. Cunts getting on your high horse. Also, and I'm jumping in now again because when I recorded this, they didn't know who it was. Now they know it's Luigi. It's Luigi. They got him, and he's a hottie. Like, I'm not going to say anything more than that. He's a hottie. Like, you can't pretend that he's not a hottie. You look at that guy and you tell me, oh, that's not a hottie. Well, then you're a fucking liar. Go to a shit. Go live in a shit thing. They are really banging away. I'm going to get out of here. And the rest of the episode keeps going. There's more. I mean, I'm just mucking around. I'm just a little comedian. I'm mucking around. But thank you so much for listening to the Greg Larson Show. I hope you enjoy it. I hope, something that I'm saying is resonating with people. I hope that I'm not I'm not too crazy over here. I hope I'm not going too crazy. I hope I'm not going too psycho. And I hope that you keep listening. And I hope that you have a beautiful life. And I hope that you have a beautiful time. And I hope that you get little kisses.
I hope you get little kisses. I hope you get big kisses. I hope you get just these beautiful big kisses from all these different people. You just walk down the street and people are like, hey, do you want me to give you a little kiss and a big kiss? And you say yes. And they say, okay. And then you get all these kisses. And everyone on the street says, let's all kiss each other. And you just get a million kisses. And we all just kiss. We all just kiss and wait as the bombs fall, as Russia begins its nuclear assault on the earth. And we go out having little kisses. I wish you all the best. More Greg Larson Show coming up.
The Greg Larson Show. The big unit is ready to go. The Greg Larson Show. Muck around on the Mazapan. A fresh custard in his hand. The greatest podcast in all the land. Greg Larson Show. Yeah.